Teachers have the most important job in the universe. Our future is dependent on the education of our children. Students must recognize that society right now is facing huge problems. There are a lot of people in society learning how to characterize these problems. There's a lot of people in society learning how to quantify, how to measure these problems, how to talk about these problems. The only people that are going to be able to solve these problems is the science and technologists that are going to invent the alternative technologies that are going to get us out of this mess. The students that are in the classroom today are tomorrow's politicians, are tomorrow's leaders, are tomorrow's scientists, are tomorrow's consumers, and what we teach them is going to have impact, you know, that's just exponential for the future of society. And right now, if I go to a party and we're having a cocktail conversation and someone asks me what I do, if I say I'm a chemist, talk about a conversation stopper. People, oh, I hated chemistry, oh my God. And just think of what happens because of that relationship. Think of how people, when they say, I have nothing to do with chemistry, I hate chemistry, when they buy the products at the store, when they use the products, when they're training their children, when they're interacting outside, all the little decisions that they're making that are the implications of having this complete dissociation with chemistry. The only people who can change that are the teachers. And when teachers can say to their students, you don't have to become a professional chemist, but you can understand the implications of chemistry. Well, what's critical is to realize that whole people are both artists and scientists, and not try to steer anybody in one direction or another, to encourage all students, whether they happen to have artistic talents or mathematical talents, to appreciate the beauty and the opportunities that the sciences have. Not that they necessarily have to grow up to become scientists, but to have that relationship with scientists, that they can participate in society as adults in appreciating what science is, so that they can make better decisions as adults in a functional, sustainable society. The reason that we have the issues that we have today, and we're actually talking about sustainability and green technologies today, is because over the past decades we have fractionated our education system into believing that there is such a thing as technology, there is such a thing as mathematics, there is such a thing as science, when in fact they all work hand in hand. There is no such thing as accomplishing anything in a technological society that is just an endeavor of one of those fields. And so once you recognize that to be truly sustainable, one is to appreciate all of those things, then all of a sudden the magic happens. And the key is when a student realizes that it isn't some critical life-determining moment to decide, do I want to do science, do I want to do math, and they actually realize you can do it all and you have to do it all. You might have to specialize a little bit in one area, but that doesn't mean giving up on everything else. That's critical to sustainability. Surprising, even now in 2010, you'd be hard-pressed to find any university program that is training scientists to go out into the world, to work for industry, to invent the next generation of materials. You'll be hard-pressed to find any one program that requires its students to learn about toxicology, that requires its students to learn about environmental mechanisms of harm. I find that shocking, and so it's critical to get these scientists early, before they even go on to college, to know that this is something they have to do on their own. Now hopefully as the future goes forward, we're going to come up with these courses, and we're going to find programs across the country and the world that are offering it. Now, Beyond Benign, with the help of Fisher, has been going out there and speaking to those teachers and providing them with learning opportunities to bring curriculum into their classrooms. Step one is to get the people who are motivated to introduce this to their classroom, to have those pieces of information to make them effective in the classroom. The second class is through their success to be able to get other teachers to look and say, all right, maybe I don't really quite get what this green chemistry is, but look at how successful this teacher is. Look at how engaged their students are. Look at how successful that classroom is. I want success in my classroom, and maybe green chemistry isn't the objective, but it's the vehicle for quality education. I think that that's the key. Once you have engaged students that are passionate and teachers that are passionate, the magic happens and education happens. The game has changed. And what we have found in the last literally 10 years is that sustainability, toxicity, environmental impact is becoming prevalent to what we feel is important in describing a material's property. Unfortunately, the field of chemistry hasn't caught up yet. And that when we describe materials, very rarely do we think of toxicity, environmental impact. That means we need a new set of ideas, we need a new set of students to come on board to refuse to say that the traditional chemistry is enough, that we need more than just the traditional chemistry, and that they want to have this knowledge. And it's happening. Students are refusing to have an education that's absent from that. When they go to universities, the jobs that they're picking, they want to have that context of protecting human health and the environment while making products, while solving the world's problems through industrial research. They also want to do it in a sustainable way. The 12 principles of green chemistry are designed to be tools for a researcher that literally is in the laboratory designing materials. It's not really something as you're going down the aisle of some shopping market, you're not saying to yourself, how does this apply to the 12 principles? It's not really designed in a way to have everyday use. However, those principles can be applied to appreciating sustainable design. If you want something to be more sustainable, you can't just shout at it, be more sustainable. You have to figure out and reduce it to the molecular level approach to figure out what are the principles that you can apply to make it more sustainable. And the 12 principles are that. So even if you're not in the business of inventing materials, having an appreciation for them allows you to appreciate the sustainability of a product. Much like you don't have to be a fantastic painter to understand the different techniques of brush strokes. You don't have to be a famous musician to understand and appreciate the structure of music. If you understand the 12 principles of green chemistry, you can start to identify sustainability in products and materials, and it gives you a richer understanding of the materials that you're interacting with. Green chemistry is critical to the future students to give them a reason. Here's the environmental movement for the last 30 years has been shaking its proverbial fist at industry saying you must not do this, don't do this, you can't do this. All of a sudden green chemistry is saying to a student, you want to change the world, you want to make a positive impact, stay in school, become a scientist, walk in the front door of industry and say, do this instead. And so it's that positive reason to learn that once a student sees the purpose of learning something, they get very highly motivated and they do succeed. Einstein's famous quote is that no problem can be solved at the level of awareness that created it. That is a call to arms for diversity. We need new eyes, we need new ideas in science, and so teachers have to be on that front line saying to every student, you think you can't be a scientist? Think again. The world needs you to think again.